So my next goal is to remove punctuation and array and pass these two pieces of information in from the outside. So my first step in doing that is to add these attributes to this tag element here that's show text along the lines of HTML attributes. Except we can make up these names as we go. They're key value pairs. So the keys can be anything as long as it fits in with our syntax. So punctuation equals the string here. And then array equals, and then because this is a little bit more complicated than a string, I need to use the escape to JavaScript syntax here with the curly braces. And over in Babel, I did the similar step here. I added punctuation and array to this the show text tag here, the show text element here. And notice recall it gets translated as a create element show text with the JSON objects. So these properties get translated into this JSON object. So when we're now going to be inside of our code to use these elements, we're going to be in an object called props. So we're going to see these attributes or these properties are going to be passed to us in a single object, and this object really is set up here, but within the scope of our JavaScript component, or within our React component, that's going to be called. There's going to be a class element added called props. So as you can see, I've removed my local variables, props and array, and now I'm using them from the props object. This dot props punctuation, this dot props array, and then the actual use of it everywhere, this dot props array. Okay, so the setup comes from here. Attributes get turned in by the Babel compiler into this JSON object that gets passed into show text on creation. That in turn gets attached to our object as a props object that we can refer to in our code. Now, this is a read-only property, so there's strict rules about putting anything aspect of this on the left-hand side of the equal sign. In other words, this dot props is immutable. You should not change it within your methods. All right, so this dot props and how it's set up. Through attributes that are key value pairs that are then bundled into a single JSON object, which is then called props inside of the context of our JSX. I'm going to modify my code a little bit to take advantage of some syntax niceties that JavaScript offers and makes use of props array really nice and straightforward. So this is called, I've modified the code a little bit. This is called JavaScript object destructuring. And it allows you to, say, declare a set of names as long as these names match. You can use the syntax as long as these names match the names of the properties within the properties object. Otherwise, there'll be a mismatch. But as long as these names are the same, you can call it punctuation array and then have a whole set of them. It'll pull out those properties, and then you can treat these like local variable names. Notice I don't have to use this dot props everywhere anymore. So a little bit of syntactic sugar that the JavaScript compiler offers. You'll see it in a lot of examples, so I show it to you here. All right, so that's our initial discussion of props. We'll use them a lot in later lectures.